Society of Kenya and also electricity billing analyst has to say in regards to them, skyrocketing bills, electricity bills, and how the government should address this and what is being done again to lower these electricity bills. Let's have a look at that conversation.
8.83. So you can see they added 3 shillings. So that is 3 billion. Correct. You are very right. Yeah. Now, from there, they had gone to an extent that by March, the cost of those 3 components was 11.31. 11.31. Now, during the increment they were trying to suggest in April, they knew that we are going to complain. So they decided that for us to allow Kenya Power to increase their amount, let us reduce this cost from 11.31. They brought it to 5.71. And that is the time they brought the cost of fuel cost to they brought it to 3.9. Now, and of course, they brought the cost of Forex from 2.16. They dropped it to 0.96. Mind you, the dollar and the euro did not have, becoming 50% because that is the reduction we got, isn't it? So it is nothing related with dollar exchange rate or anything.
What is it related to?
It is a boardroom decision, just like fuel cost. And they say there is a formula. By the way, there is a formula for calculating that. But even the input, even if you ask the Energy Committee in Parliament, they don't know that formula. Nobody
just
confirms.
Know there's a formula.
Nobody confirms whether that formula is being used. But let me continue and say.
And what's the formula based on?
It's based on the cost of fuel that is being sold to the plants. Then it is also based on the consumption for that plant. And it has a factor of, it has several factors, but only 3 that cannot vary by more than 50%.
Okay.
So that formula, if you use it, there is no way you can divert from 3.9 shillings to 8 shillings. There is no way.
Is it a formula that other people use elsewhere? Is it something that's...
It's a gazetted formula.
It may be gazetted as much as they
like. Is it a globalized, standardized formula?
Thank you.
It is not globalized because each IPP, each PPA or a government, there is a way they tax their energy.
Yeah. That we get. You see, the moment you bring in formula, you are telling us that there is an understood system by which you arrive at this taxation, isn't it?
Yes.
But the variables you keep talking about seems to be shifting. So that would lend credence and say, okay, if you have a formula, then even if they keep shifting, the formula brings about consistency. Okay, now, what is this formula exactly?
That formula is there, is gazetted number 1. The variables for the inputs to that formula are also gazetted every month. So it is the problem of the people who are supposed to confirm to check whether it is being followed. But it isn't followed because I have done that personally as the Consumer Watch. We have done that.
Wait, you want to ask something? It is the problem of the people, like we the people.
Yes, because
to check.
To check and keep the government on check. Even our parliamentarians, like for example, the Energy Committee led by Vincent Monsioka, we went and presented those formulas and so many slides that were adding up to about 60 slides. Media was there covering. They never mentioned that in the news. They never even came back to say, only a few MPs that told us, oh, that was a brilliant job. Is that how we are being stolen? So you can understand those are the people who we are expecting to assist us, but they are also worried. So we told them, but they didn't use that information beyond that. I would expect they would use it if they call me again and say, please give this in a write-up so that we can publish it. And that is why I'm saying they also knew and they went to ask, but when they asked, they were maybe told by the CS or anybody that please, that is a hot cake, but please don't touch there because that is the only place we can adjust from 1 billion to 5 billion and consumers will never know. So right now, they reduced that cost.
Sorry.
Isaac. Yes.
No.
You just said that essentially this is the only place where we can get an extra few shillings and nobody's going to ask questions.
Yes.
Or essentially nobody is going to be bothered enough to do the work to go and find out whether this. So that's the place.
Only the river, and we are not going to cover him.
Are you sure of this?
I am sure of that.
But you know something?
I am sure of that.
If you think about it, everything about what Isaac is saying seems to have been constructed, I'm using the word deliberately, to ensure that it sounds so complicated
that nobody wants to touch.
You just get exhausted.
But even what I was driving at, you see, they brought it to 11 point something. Now they increase the cost of power. They brought the cost of those three components from a total of 11.31 to 5.71.
I mean, they brought it down.
They brought it down. If you look at the production using thermos, it did not change much. In fact, it's more or less the same. So you ask them, how did the formula give you these figures for you to reduce it by a half?
Voodoo.
You see, so now so nobody is asking. But then you also need to ask. Let me come closer home. The dollar, the forex changed from 0.84. Which month is that? Let me check. 0.84 in May. In June, it came to 2.06. You see, that is more than 2 times.
Yes.
Did you hear like the dollar came from 140 to 280 or something?
No, please.
No.
So then ask them, how is this coming around? And you see, that is an extra 1 billion also
Isaac,
on forex.
Just clarify this.
Yes.
So when the dollar rates change they change the way they change. But when they change in terms of calculating these things of electricity, you're saying they change
differently. They change differently.
So they don't change with the dollar rate the way it is changing.
That is how the formula dictates.
No, the market rate seems to have no influence on this configuration.
Yes.
You know, this formula is now becoming problematic. You know, in school, where when you were learning about the mole concept, it had a formula.
Yes.
Hata pale kwa hesabu, when you were doing those mathematics of high school, they had a formula. They tell you the pi of this and this, the square root of, it's constant. But then the way this formula of ours is sounding, it's like it changes. Ni kama ni recipe. See formula.
It's a recipe. Just for example, now
you can adjust a recipe.
I bring you back home again. Now, in March of 2023, the forex charge was 2.16 Kenya shillings per kilowatt hour. Now it came to 0.96. Did the dollar change to 70 shillings?
No, it didn't. But the point is, it appears. I think you answered the question. You said is that when I asked, you said boardroom decision.
It's a boardroom decision
because somehow the market rate, the market indicators of the exchange rate between the dollar and the shilling doesn't feature here.
It doesn't.
Okay.
Even the production using diesel doesn't feature here.
Okay, Isaac.
Yes.
Who are the individuals or group of people who make this decision? Who sits in this boardroom? That a decision can be made that this month we shall apply a forex of 2.09, or next month we shall apply one of 0.9, or the month after that we shall do one of 0.84. Who sits in this room that decides this is how it's? Because what seems clear now is that every month there's some billions that are made just by adjusting some numbers. Where those billions go, we don't know, but we know that you've paid your bill, and that's why you can see the fluctuation in your bill. But very importantly, who is making this decision about how the formula will be applied month on month?
Okay, now we know there is the only person we can tag this issue to is EPRA. But we know EPRA, we pay EPRA as consumers. And I'm not sure whether they are paid by the power producers. We pay EPRA, let me start there, for them to protect us. But now you see, they are the same people who gazette these values. Because if you ask Kenya Power, they will say, we are not responsible for gazetting those values. We are not even responsible for following up where that money goes. And that's why I say, you always crucify Kenya Power wrongly, because Kenya Power have got their own money and they are going to pay the REP, the RELEC, they are going to pay Ketraco and their own operation maintenance and the purchase power. And that money, you have tied it for the next 3 years. Now, what I ask and what they keep on saying, after we agreed that, there is another 50% of the bill that we are not responsible for, and you cannot ask us where this money goes. So Kenya Power are not to be blamed on that fuel cost. The only sole people to blame is EPRA. And EPRA will say, this is what came, because I am sure that comes from the CS, that probably, I would say, I don't know which state, but I would say State House maybe has said, can we get another 3 billion from power?
Isaac,
and this is what to adjust.
Isaac?
Yes.
EPRA sits in a room every month, because we know. We know that for fuel prices, we know on the 14th, like today, we will be told, wake up tomorrow morning and we'll be told, okay, either your fuel prices have gone down, they've gone up, or we've maintained. right? We know that.
Yes.
So are you saying then, with power prices,
Yes.
when it comes to adjusting of forex, adjusting of Warma, all those many things, FFI, etc., etc.
Inflation.
Do they also sit in a room and discuss so that we know on the 21st of each month we know, and this is the formula that they're applying? Are you saying it is them who are sitting in a room making this decision as well?
It is them who comes there. It's a director general who signs that gazettement every month. By the way, you keep on missing that gazettement every month. They have to gazette the cost of fuel to Lodwa, to Kipevu, they will give you the cost of that fuel.
Yes.
And the worst thing that I keep on crying for the Kenyans, you remember that cost, the one in the formula that is known as C, it's CI, the cost of fuel. If it is 250 shillings, because it's normally very expensive, and remember there is heavy fuel oil, it's maybe 260 shillings. It is inclusive of VAT, right? Why is it that when they come to the bills, they still tax VAT again on our bills? You see, that is another problem.
So that's double taxation.
That is double taxation. And in fact, there is a time they were taxing inflation and forex. As in, I assist you to go and be able to manage to get dollars. You still want VAT from the same. We made noise here in January of 2022, and they stopped taxing forex and VAT. Now, the only challenge they are taxing that now is that they are taxing fuel costs. And we know already, we have already been taxed during that formula, the CI, is inclusive of VAT. But now, even if you tell the MPs, do they even know what components are in the bill? We have tried to do that, and they will not have a lot of our time. And even if they do have that little time, and remember, they are doing an inquiry that is really important. But I have always told them, as far as you are going there without data, what are you going to? You call a Kenya Power MD, then you start asking them, who are the owners of this IPP? Is Kenya Power supposed to be bothered with that, or their operation maintenance? And remember, there is one thing that I also told MPs that they are going around, and they are not going to. They call IPPs. We have 26 IPPs in this country.
Those are the independent power producers.
Independent power producers.
Okay.
But you see, the independent power producers we have a problem with are not Gakira and the Malindi Solar. Those are not the people we have a problem with. We have a problem with 6 independent power producers that are using diesel, because that is the formula that is killing us. Now, call them. Don't call everybody else, because you will come and ask them who is the owner of this. That is not important. Tell them, this is fuel cost that your IPPs are charging us. Call others, you tell them, you are gas power, yes. Your contribution to the grid is 2%. And we are paying you capacity charge for you being idle. And we know Rabai and Kipevu 3 are giving us more than 70% on the thermal contribution in this country. All these others should leave, or we find, because MPs are the lawmakers, isn't it?
Yes,
whatever they will say, they cannot say that we have hidden contracts and all that. They will just say, we have decided that these people are parasites in our billing. First of all, we get them out, because they are the people who make the manipulation of the fuel cost being done, because either they are paid and then they have to refund money to the cartels, or even when you are paying that fuel and their cost, you have to pay in foreign currency. And remember, 2% is normally taken by Kenya Power.
Yes.
And 2%. Then the other 96% is taken by IPPs. Now, as I was saying, there is no need of calling Or Power, who is an IPP for geothermal, because you don't have a problem with that person. You don't have an issue with that cost. You don't need to keep on calling other people who are doing solar or whatever else. Call these people. And the 6 people, I'm calling them 6 because I realized when I was in the parliament that there is one who doesn't want to disappear. Savo Power or Kipevu 2 were decommissioned in September of 2021. Now, I had them together with us. They were trying to defend on how they are not going to demolish that plant. Now, and I was looking at them really, and they were saying it's going to be cheaper now. You know, we have already paid because it is not really important how much they are selling a kilowatt to us. Maybe even 4 shillings. But remember, the fuel cost is where 45 shillings is going through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
So we need to decommission them completely.
Okay. Isaac, tomorrow,
yes,
engineer Dr. Joseph Siror will be here in the studio.
Oh, okay.
He is the managing director and CEO of Kenya Power.
Okay.
So, of course, we have some questions we'd like to ask him. What would a power bill look like today? Now, this is the question I'm asking you, Isaac. Yes. What would a power bill look like today if these individuals that you speak of, these organizations are decommissioned, right?
Yes.
If their activity no longer exists,
yes,
what would a bill then look like? Because what you're saying is that they're taking they're taking the lion's share
Yes.
of these payments. Yes?
Yes.
For doing minimal to no activity.
Yes.
Or using an extremely expensive source
Yes.
to then generate.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if their existence were to be altered or removed,
Yes.
replaced with those who are actually using a more manageable power source,
Yes.
or then for whose payments you actually see and they're made transparent,
Yes.
what would that translate to then in the bills that we see on a monthly?
Currently
token?
today,
Yeah.
I look at the lifeline below that. Those people, let me use your example because I think it is better when you are able to calculate for yourself. The money that goes to Kenya Power for your tariff is 20.97. The VAT that they want to charge on that is going to be around 4 shillings. So it's going to be 24 shillings. Now that you'll have gotten rid of fuel cost charge, Forex, because you are using Forex to pay those IPPs who are paid in dollars. And then inflation, such things. And then Warma, this WER, Walma, EPRA, and REP. That is not a lot of money because that is only 3% of the bill. But if you look at fuel cost and the Forex and inflation, that is 45% of your bill. So we need to kick out those people so that we can remove from 32 shillings, we come to 24 shillings. That is how it's going to look like. But unfortunate bit is that when Engineer Siroli comes here tomorrow, my very good friend that we're supposed to have a meeting on the same. Now, the only challenge that you will face is if you ask him anything else other than consumption cost. He will not tell you anything else. He can't tell you about fuel cost charge. He can't tell you about Forex.
Why not?
He can't because that is a pass-through. He's told, collect this on our behalf and give us. He doesn't even touch. So if you are going to ask him anything, ask him about the consumption. And that is why I always say, it is not Kenya Power. Actually, Kenya Power has been painted to look like they are the bad people. But they are not, and we have been in a discussion with them. It is this, like now, the way we gazetted the costs in April. Has Kenya Power changed their costs? No, they haven't. What is changing is the fuel cost charge, the inflation, and Forex. Now, I heard now Warma wants to change the cost from 0.02 shillings per kilowatt hour to 2 shillings per kilowatt hour.
All the other people, Warma, EPRA, who... Okay, Kenya Power is not involved.
It's not involved.
Okay, so who is involved?
It's the ministry. It's the minister and the EPRA. You know, EPRA is a mouthpiece of the ministry. So when Davis Chirchir says, Mr. President requires this money or whatever other, I don't know how it goes around. But I know it's an instruction delivered to Daniel Kipto because he's the same one who's being taken to court because of passing, increasing the cost of VAT in the fuel when it had been blocked. You think it is him who sat here and said, no, we have to put that.
Actually, we don't know.
Yeah. So most likely someone tells him, this is what you need to do. And even if you wait now, he's not going to be taken anywhere because the forces that told him you have to adjust even before these people complain, they are the same forces who will tell the courts, please, you realize even we had a very good justice, Mugore Thande, who is handling our case because we went to court.
Yes.
She was handling our case. She has been taken to Malindi simply because she suspended the finance bill or something.
So we don't know if that's the
case. So the next one who will come, of course,
I think it's necessary. We don't know if that's the reason why she was moved to
because judges are transferred from time to time.
So you think it is a natural?
And they take an oath of office to serve anywhere at any time.
Okay, anything can be the case.
Yes.
But we do not know unequivocally that was the reason as to why that was done. Okay. All right? The power conversation is one. It's highly emotive. We know that we are paying out of our pockets on a daily basis and becoming more and more difficult. It's necessary to have these explanations on a regular, Isaac, and I'm very appreciative because you do that well for us. Couched, in fact, also very